What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we're going to talk about 5 tips that every returning player should know in Pokemon Go. The inspiration behind this video is because of some raids that I've done recently. I've realized that a lot of returning players don't know some tips and tricks that have either been out for over a year or just been out for the past couple of months. But either way, a lot of people definitely need some help, so I figured this would be the video to do that. But just because you know all of this stuff doesn't mean that it needs to stop there. If you see someone in your community that doesn't know how to do these tips, definitely spread the word and help out everyone in the community. I know that if I was a returning player and someone was helping me out with different raid bosses or just whatever, I would be very appreciative of that, which is kind of the main inspiration as to why I'm making this video. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So the first trick that we are going to talk about is the skipping the catch animation. This may not sound like it is significant, but basically you can cut the time in half when you catch Pokemon. So anytime there is some type of increased spawn or there is some type of community day event, you can catch so many more Pokemon because of this. So right now on the screen I have up a Sableye. And basically what you're going to do to skip it is going to be to hold on to the Pokeball or hold on to the berry icon and slide it across the screen. And once you do that, you'll then throw it like normal. And after you've done that, what you will do is click somewhere on the screen and then finally click the run button, which is on the top left. But I'll go ahead and show it to you live so it ends up making more sense. And I am going to be doing this kind of like one-handed, so bear with me. But basically you'll grab the icon, shift your hand over to the left side of the screen, and then you will throw it with your other hand. Now keep in mind, I'm doing this one-handed, so if you're using 2 hands, it's gonna be much easier, but there you go. Now let go of the screen, click somewhere, and then click the run button, and that's it, but it doesn't stop there. There's gonna be a couple things afterwards that you can do. For the first part, if the model still shows up on the screen, you can click on it. And if you get something like an error 25, that means that you have caught it. Another way that you can check is to go into your Pokemon inventory and see if you've caught it, which we did. So this method is going to save a significant amount of time, and I highly recommend you to do it. A little bit of practice is going to make it perfect. Once you get used to it, you will never unlearn it. So this next tip is all about the raiding process, specifically talking about solo players, but it doesn't just apply to that. I actually got to use this just yesterday when we didn't have enough people at a raid. We were trying to complete a Mewtwo raid, but we ended up losing by like 3 or 4 seconds. The timer went out and went out early. So with this method, you are going to allow yourself an extra couple of seconds on the screen for the raid timer. And like I said, if you are doing solo raids, this is going to be so much more impactful. But basically the first step that you have to do is create a party. Once you create this party, you don't put any Pokemon in it. Then when you go into a raid lobby, you simply put it on your empty Pokemon slot and you just let the timer go down to 0. Once it goes down to 0, there will be a new message pop up. And once that message pops up, you will then slide over to the party that you actually want to use. Then you will press the rejoin battle button. And once you do that, you will notice that the raid timer will start up much higher than what it did before. This is basically a way to get around the go that shows up when you're doing a raid that can sometimes take 5, 6, 7 seconds to load, and you can gain back your precious time to complete some extremely difficult raids. And this is something that I definitely wish that I knew if I was a returning player. Up next is the excellent throw technique on legendaries. So the first step is you're gonna have to hold on to whatever ball you have and size down the circle. If you can't hit excellent throws consistently, you can focus on greats first and then work down to an excellent. But basically you let the circle go down, and once it goes down to the appropriate level that you want, you will then let the ball go. The next step, you have to wait for the Pokemon to taunt. And once the Pokemon taunts, you will then do your throw sequence. If you are throwing a straight ball, you may want to wait a little bit more towards the end of the taunt. That way you don't just kind of hit the Pokemon. What this does is it allows the Pokemon to do its taunt, and it doesn't have time to taunt again. It doesn't have time to jump. It doesn't have time to move off to the side. It's basically stuck in a moment where it can't do anything. And with that, that is when you hit the Pokemon, and this is going to completely up your chances of catching a legendary once you get this method down. So up next is going to be the stacking of the research requests. Now this is actually more important than what you realize, because you can take some major advantage of any type of events related to Stardust. If you can stack up a ton of Pokemon and then basically open them all up or try to catch them all during a double Stardust event, a triple Stardust event, something like that, you can significantly up your Stardust count. So how do you do this? If you go ahead and head over to the binoculars and click on it, you will see that the claim reward is at the top where you have, just some type of wild encounter. So basically what happens is once you complete a wild encounter, for instance, this one that's on the weather boosted one, if we were to complete it, what we would do is simply run away from the actual encounter. So for instance, let's say that we just opened this up. What you would do is simply run, and if you go back, it's going to stack up to the top. What's cool about this is it can actually hold 100 Pokemon, so if you do stack this up, the Stardust count is going to be insane. And just as a little bit more of a side tip, the Pokemon can actually store the different berries. So for instance, if I knew for like a Chansey, I definitely wanted to go ahead and try to Pineapple that, what you can do is just leave a Pineapple on it, and then you can just leave. Then when you come back, it will still hold on to the Pineapple, which is a new way to kind of store your berries and basically lower your count for your inventory, which is definitely something that I wish I knew if I were a returning player. So the last tip is in relation to Lucky Pokemon. Lucky Pokemon are a great benefit because they provide a discount on the Stardust. Basically, the amount of Stardust it takes to power up a Pokemon is cut in half, which is quite significant. So if you are a returning player, a good way to be able to catch up to everyone is gonna be by doing Lucky Pokemon. But you have a major advantage that most people do not have, and that is older Pokemon that you have kept. Now here's how it works. You can actually guarantee yourself Lucky Pokemon if one of the two players has less than 10 Lucky Pokemon. So if you haven't done any trading yet, I would say that now is going to be the best time to do it. The second method is that one of the Pokemon has to be from August 2016 or July 2016. If you check off both of those on the list, you can guarantee a Lucky Pokemon, which is insane. So the next step, what Pokemon should you focus on? If you are a smaller player, and now with having Mewtwo being so accessible, what I would recommend you to do is try to get people to trade you a Mewtwo, which is totally doable. A lot of people will have a ton of spares and would theoretically do it for you, and that means that you can get some Mewtwo's that are lucky, so it will be significantly easier to power them up, and you can catch up to people by having an extremely powerful Pokemon that is going to be a guaranteed lucky. So anyways, I hope this did help you. I hope that, you're going to get out there, you're going to talk to people about these methods. I think that we need to kind of come together as a community and definitely help as many people as possible. So I hope at least my contribution has helped with that, creating this video. If you did enjoy this type of content and want to see more types of tutorials, more types of tricks, definitely subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.